My organic compound is delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinol. Delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinol is more commonly known as THC. THC's molecular formula is carbon 21, hydrogen 30, and oxygen 2. As you can see, THC has a cycloalkene group, an ether group, a phenyl group, benzene ring with an alcohol, and a hydrophobic alkyl tail. Because of this structure, THC has an interesting effect on our brain. I have provided the IUPAC name and physical properties for you here. THC is the main psychoactive ingredient in marijuana. Marijuana refers to the dried leaves, flowers, stems, and seeds from the cannabis sativa or cannabis indica plant. In this photo is an unharvested marijuana plant. THC is also a cannabinoid. A cannabinoid is a type of chemical in marijuana that causes drug-like effects all through the body. THC's journey to the brain begins at the mouth. The cannabinoid travels through the respiratory tract to the alveoli of the lung, where it makes its way into the circulatory system. It travels through the bloodstream, where it then diffuses into the blood-brain barrier and surrounds the brain and spinal tissues. THC acts on specific brain cell receptors that ordinarily react to natural THC-like chemicals that our body produces. These natural chemicals play a role in normal brain development and function. I recreated this chart from UC Merced's website. It is shown here that smoking allows one to feel the effects within minutes because THC travels to the brain so quickly. The body absorbs THC more slow when a person eats or drinks it. When swallowed in a form like edibles, it passes through the stomach, intestine, and liver before entering the bloodstream. THC is barely soluble in water. The body absorbs only a small fraction of the available drug when it is swallowed. In that case, users generally feel the effects after an hour. In the liver, it is hydrolyzed to 11-hydroxy-THC. When compared to delta-9 THC, 11-hydroxy-THC is better able to cross the blood-brain barrier, resulting in a more potent high. This occurs when one eats THC rather than smokes it. The effects of THC are wide-ranging. It suppresses pain signal processing, producing pain relief effects. It helps the body learn to restrain stress and produces good feelings by inducing dopamine. It has other effects like increasing appetite, impairing motor skills, delaying reaction time, disrupting thought processes, and inducing paranoia. The endocannabinoid system, also known as ECS, is a biological system that is composed of endocannabinoids and cannabinoid receptors. Endocannabinoids are important modulators of synaptic transmission. A naturally produced endocannabinoid in our body is anandamide. Anandamide is a highly potent endogenous agonist, meaning that it initiates a physiological response when combined with its respective receptor. Cannabinoid receptors are genes expressed and produced in our bodies where endocannabinoids bind to. The endocannabinoid system consists of two receptors. Cannabinoid receptor type 1, also commonly known as CB1, is very abundant, especially within many regions of the brain and spinal cord, like shown in this photo. We won't get into CB2 too much because it is not the specific receptor for THC. However, you can see that another cannabinoid found in marijuana can bind to CB2. Tetrahydrocannabinol acts as an agonist to CB1 and initiates a signaling cascade because its unique composition allows it to fit perfectly into the receptor, unlike any other cannabinoid. Dissimilar to the usual communication that occurs in the brain, the ECS works backwards. In this photo, the cannabinoid receptor is expressed on the presynaptic neuron. Neurotransmitters released from the presynaptic neuron usually bind to specific receptors on the postsynaptic neuron. But in the ECS, when the postsynaptic neuron is activated, cannabinoids are made on demand from lipid precursors that are already present in the cell. After release from that cell, they travel backwards to the presynaptic neuron and bind to the cannabinoid receptor. In this photo, THC is binding to CB1. When binding, they can limit the amount of a neurotransmitter that gets released, which affects how messages are sent, received, and processed by the cell. THC is much more abundant when in the brain compared to the natural anandamide, so when present, the ECS acts as a brake, slowing down neuron activity, preventing neurons from excessive firing. It is the binding of THC to CB1 receptors that causes the effects when one is high. Each part of the brain has its own regulatory function. So if THC binds to a receptor on the amygdala, paranoia can occur because that part of the brain regulates emotions and fear. Another example is if THC binds to cerebellum CB1 receptors, Impaired coordination can occur since balance is usually regulated there. THC chemically stops synapses from occurring in the brain, and users are physically affected in ways that could be seen as positive or negative. THC reaches different locations on one's brain and affects all differently. Dronabinol is a synthetic form of THC. It has the same structure and properties as THC. It is formulated in sesame oil. Research has shown that it has a greater anti-emetic effect for chemotherapy patients instead of the chemotherapeutic medication usually taken, meaning that it keeps them from vomiting or feeling nausea. Dronabinol has also been shown to improve appetite in patients that have AIDS-related anorexia. For some time, insurance companies have denied patients this medication. People have also questioned this medication and believe it is a way for pharmaceutical companies to profit because a natural form can be extracted from the cannabis plant. THC in general is continuously being studied and used by many.